Okay, so this is SolidWorks for beginners. I realized that I never actually did a video to explain the basic tools that we have in SolidWorks, so I'm going to quickly do that now. Okay, so we're focusing on parts in our section of SolidWorks. So if you open your SolidWorks, you select parts as your workspace or sheet. So parts is basically just dealing with single figures. Assembly is when you have multiple parts that are now joining together. So let me just take you through some stuff. So at the bottom part of your window for your SolidWorks, you have this page that usually starts with IPS. So basically it shows you the different units you can work with. So depending on the dimension of what you're working with, you pick it. Me, I normally work with MMGS. Okay, so apart from that, that's basically the only thing you need to worry about at the bottom part for a beginner. So when you go to the top part, your features, I'll go to sketch first so that we can see the sketch first. So with the first part that has sketch, basically you pick what you are doing. First things first, you're usually working on a sketch normally, not a 3D sketch. Because you're showing like the flat surfaces, the 2D surfaces of your drawing that you're going to work with. So let's select sketch. So in this sketch now, we have different planes. Okay, so depending on what you're working with, you can select any plane depending on that. So I'm using the top plane. The top plane. Okay, so when you pick your plane, an axis arrow usually shows in the middle to show that this is the origin of everything. So next thing is your smart dimension. So smart dimension tool is used to dimension anywhere in your drawing when it comes to definition. Because the whole point of definition is to make sure that every part of your drawing is fully dimensioned. So smart dimension can you use smart dimension to just automatically, whether it's horizontal, vertical, angles, you can use it. But if you want to specify the particular dimension you want to do, you just click the down arrow and select the particular one that you want to work with. Most of the time I use smart dimension because it's much easier, much faster, and works with anything. So the next thing we have here is our line 2. So your line 2 can be in different forms. You have the normal line, the center line, and the midpoint line. So the midpoint line is such that you just pick a point and end it. Wherever you extend the point to, it extends on both halves. So let's say if you want to have a line that's at the center of somewhere and at the same distance to the other side of an object, you use the midpoint line. Then you have center line. That's when you're just trying to, it's not a construction line, it doesn't really do anything, but it's when me I use it personally when I want to find the center of a particular point. That's just it. The center of a point, otherwise the center line. It's not a thick line, it's a dotted line. So that's why I call it a construction line. So this line is just a normal thick line. You can go in any direction, any angle. It does not do like midpoint line, in that midpoint line when you extend it extends on both sides. This one now, once you extend it once, you extend it just that side. Then the next tool we have here is circle tool. So we have two types of circle. We have the center circle where you pick a center and just click on that point. That's how center circle works. Then the other one is your perimeter circle. Now you need three different points: 1, 2, and 3. I hardly ever use this, but in some situations you have to use it. Then this is your plane tool. If you want to do like a curvy line, you use that, what you use it for, a curvy line, a wavy line. Let's say a point in your drawing has a wavy line and also a straight line, you can use this plane tool. For a beginner, you don't really need to stress yourself about the styles plane and equation driven curve. Then this is your plane. If you want to insert a plane when you're doing a 3D sketch, you know that when we first opened sketch, there was sketch and there was 3D sketch. If you're doing a 3D sketch and you want to pick a particular plane, like you want to insert another plane with the sketch, you use this plane. Then next we have the rectangle tool. So there are different types of rectangles depending on what you need. For a beginner, you just need to worry about the first two: corner rectangle and center rectangle. So both of them work like a circle to center rectangle. You click a center, then you click another point. That's all. Corner rectangle, you pick two different points at the corners, not at the center. So let's say 1, 2. Okay, so that's it. Then we have what we call this arc tool. So if you know you cannot use the arc tool, because some people find it kind of complex, if you cannot use the arc tool, you can simply just use your circle to do whatever your arc tool is meant to do. If you understand your drawing applications in your normal hand sketches, you can easily use your circle tool. But when you have your center arc, you pick a center and two other points. So let's say you pick a center here, then you pick a point on this circle to point to another point. This is your arc, depending on what you want to do. Then you have your tangent arc. It's for when you are dealing with a line. You look at it now. When you have a line coming as like you're having a curve from the line, that's where so you can pick an edge of your rectangle, for example. Sorry. So you pick the edge of your rectangle, and you can just decide to just do something like this. Depending on what you want to do, actually, like I said, it just depends on what you're doing. Let's say you have, let me delete the ones that we have now. Let's delete all of them. In case you're wondering what I'm doing, I just click an area on the page, on the window, and then I just drag to select everything. Then I just right click and delete. Okay, so if you want to do something like this, let's say you have two lines, or rather, let's say you have a rectangle. Let's pick a center rectangle, for instance. You have something like this. You can use your tangent arc. You click here and click the other point. Sorry, my mistake. You go to your tangent arc. You click this point. You click this point, and you click the other end. So basically, something that your circle tool could also do. You could usually also just draw a circle here, and then trim out this other part that you don't need. Okay, so the next thing is, so do that. It just depends on what in particular you want to achieve. Next is your ellipse tool. These ones you don't really need them for simple projects, but in case you have something more complex that requires you to use any of these shapes, basically these are shape tools. So depending on the shape you want to achieve, you can use them. Then use your text tool. Let's say you want to make a water bottle, for instance, and you want to put text on it. So use your text tool to write on it, but preferably, yes, me, I prefer writing text on a solid work. That is after I've extruded and done everything I need to do, than to do it on sketches. But this is for when you are doing a sketch and you want to write a text on it. So next thing is your slot tool. So the one that I majorly use is the straight slot tool. But there are some times that you end up having to. The thing is that for all these tools, looking at the shapes that they have or that they produce on the drawing, like on the right top, you can easily tell what they are used for. So these are the slot tools. You can have a simple straight slot tool. You cannot have one that is a center point straight slot tool. That is, you click a center and then the other end. Then these ones are for when you have arced slots. So just depending on what you want to achieve. Then you have the polygon tool. So any polygon that you want to achieve, you just have to increase the number of sides you want. Let's say I want to achieve this. I just click and then you put it in the angle you want. This is a hexagon, so you can start to change this to 5 sides. You can start to change it to 7 sides. It all just depends on what you want. Then the next thing we have is our fillet and chamfer tools. If you have watched any of my other videos, some of them already showed how to use the fillet and the chamfer tool. So basically you can start to do a fillet at the side of this rectangle. So let's try that. Fillet, just click the side you want to work with, that is here. So it's 10 meters from both sides. So you just click yes. So that's your fillet. At the same time, you could just use a chamfer tool. That one now gives the straight side. So you can start to just pick this point, or you pick the two sides that you're working with. So it's easier to just pick the point you want to work with, like this. It will automatically chamfer it for you. Same thing with the fillet. You can just pick the point you want to work with, and it does exactly that. So Yes, so that's what we have now. So that's basically everything here. The next is the trim entities. So trim entities now, preferably this is extend entities. You want to extend an entity like an object, you can go ahead. But trim entities is the one that you probably most likely have to use, because there's sometimes that you have shapes that you do not exactly need in your drawing per se. So let's say you want to trim something off now. I prefer to use trim to closest, because if you use power trim, it may trim off more than you need. So I prefer to use trim to closest. So let's say I want to trim off here, I click it. You also click the other side. So all you have to do is just click, and that's basically it. You can just be clicking and be going, be clicking and be going. That's just it. Be clicking and be going. So that's how the trim tool works. Okay, so the next thing, for beginners, you do not really need to know these other things, so I'm going to leave that. When you're like more advanced, like I said, this is the beginner's guide. So your mirror entities, if you have something you want to mirror, let's say this object now, I want to mirror it. You can mirror about, let's say, this line. So I think this is always going to show. So when you click yes, it mirrors the same exact shape to the other side. So that's how mirror image entities work. Just pick the axis or the line you want to use as your mirroring line. I pick this line as my mirroring line. Then pick the object that you want to mirror. That's basically it. Then line sketch too. Line sketch pattern is actually a very straightforward thing. So you want to do line sketch pattern now. Can I start to do this? Sorry, can I start to use this? And then you just pick the number you want to appear. Say like 5. Then we'll now put the distance between them. Let's say 30. Let's try to let's do the same thing on the y-axis. So we have 5. Okay. And then we have 30. So let's make it like 50. So basically what it does is that it mirrors, basically like a mirroring effect. Let's fit the screen with F. So this is what we have. So I wanted 5 up and 5 at the side, each at distances. This one was at distance of 50 for the y-axis and distance of 30 for the x-axis. So you want to do a pattern, let's say a square. You use line sketch. Let me go back. But if you want to repeat a circular object, let's say a circle, you want to draw a circle and it wants to be repeated. Let's say this now. You have this. You now pick the angle, the degree you want it to go around, because it's a circle. It's like basically you're picking an object to go in a circle. That's basically it. So you pick the number. Let's say you want to put 10. It choose 10 around. You can also decide to just make it 180 degrees, depending on what you are working with. 180. I think so. You now have something like this. So it just depends on what you want to do. This was the shape or the pattern I wanted to go around in a circle. So this was it, 180 degrees 10 times. So it automatically does everything for you. So like I said, the rest you don't really need to know. In the next video, I'm going to show you how to use the features elements, and then also show you how to use appearance and all these other icons that are on your screen. Thank you very much for watching.